All right, there we go. We are live on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritual View. Today is Monday, June 26th. That just blows my mind. Today, it's just Sheila and I. Tracy, I believe Tracy's in Portugal. Is that correct, Sheila?
Oh, yeah, like she's somewhere cool.
Yeah, I can't even keep track where I am most days. So we certainly hope Tracy is having a great time. She is there for a conference and yeah, we were so excited for her to go. I think it was a bit of a last minute decision to go on this trip. So Tracy, we hope you're having a great time and we can't wait to hear about the travels when you get back. So Sheila and I are here today, and this is the thing we go through every single week is what are we going to talk about? We go back and forth in Messenger and we try to come up with topics. And with just Sheila and I this week, what we decided is to do what works best for Sheila and I, and that's to just trust in divine guidance. We often talk about, we've had podcasts where we've talked about being divinely guided, where we've had guests on, and we trust that and believe in that. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to pull some cards from the Soul's Journey. I love this deck because it really talks, I think it brings out the truth. It brings out those single words that are powerful that we need to talk about. So we're going to do that today. And we're going to relate it to our own personal stories, to current events, and we're going to see what comes up. But let's do a quick check-in. Sheila, how was your weekend?
My weekend was busy. I teach a lot of yoga on the weekends, so I tend to do that. The weekend was interesting because I think I had a little bit of spiritual hangover from our event. A little bit tired, slept a lot, made sure to do some self-care. But other than that, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm feeling very rested this morning.
Awesome. I'm feeling pretty good too. I did actually have some good sleeps this weekend. I can relate to that bit of a roller coaster of these highs and then just exhausted, all this shifting and growing and aha moments. And yeah, it was quite an exciting week last week. So I guess my excitement this weekend is I bought a paddleboard just for my dog. My husband and I have kayaks and I have a paddleboard. So I bought a kayak for my dog. I love to take him. He comes on the paddleboard with me, but he's too big for my kayak. So I decided to buy him his own kayak, like how spoiled. But so I got a sit on top kayak, and Saturday, we went out and took him for a test run, and he did pretty good. So that was fun. But I tell you, my shoulders were so sore that night from paddling an extra, 70 pounds of this dog being on with me. But it was a lot of fun. It was nice to get out and spend some time in nature. The weather was pretty good. So yeah, and hard to believe it's almost the end of June already. I don't even know how this happened, but here we are, another Monday, and let's dive into some good conversation. So I'm going to shuffle these cards. We have no idea what we're going to talk about, but this is what I love to do best. And Sheila and I just seem to be able to go with the flow. And we just trust that Spirit is going to bring forth what we need to talk about and what maybe you need to hear today. So two popped out. So these are the ones we're going to start with, and they'll probably go together. I love it. So we have worry and gratitude. Okay, so first of all, worry, it says, I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. So simple, so powerful, right? And then gratitude, I am thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. Sheila, when you look at those two, I feel like we need to talk about these together. What comes up for you right away?
Well, the first thing that comes up for me is that you can't be in worry and in gratitude at the same time. So when you're in worry, you are in a space that doesn't allow for the gratitude, for the sunshine, for all the goodness of life. So the two cards are the yin and the yang. So when you're in worry, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to be in a space that feels good. I mean, I don't think one person that's listening or Kim and myself would not agree that being in worry doesn't feel good. And to really, really understand worry, you recognize that there's absolutely nothing you can do about the situation. So you're energetically projecting this dread, the worst case scenario, what's going to happen onto something. And we say it's not going to change anything. But if you listen to us and if you listen to Kim and I often, you know that we recognize that our thoughts and our feelings have a great impact on what's going to happen in our life. So if we're going to stay in the state of worry, that is the trajectory we're going on. We're going to find the difficult. We're going to find the challenges. Changing the situation. So if you're worrying about, a family member, or worrying about getting something in your life, more money or whatever it is, the actual energy of worry has an impact on that. It doesn't make the situation feel good. And it doesn't give the situation an opportunity to heal and grow. So staying in the state of worry is probably the most difficult thing that you could do in your life. Being in the state of gratitude is grateful for everything. Everything is for you. This situation is challenging, but I'm grateful for the lessons I'm learning. I'm grateful for the opportunity to feel and to notice and to be available to the situation. It doesn't mean that you say that the situation is fantastic. It's mean that you're grateful for something in it. And changing the way we respond to life is going to change everything about what happens next. And I'm not saying I've got this down, and I'm not saying that I don't still worry, I don't still project, I don't still do those things. But I'll tell you, by being aware and noticing what I'm doing, I can easily shift it. People say, how do I change from worry to gratitude? Well, you just notice. I'm in worry. Okay, I'm in worry. That's a state. How do I change that? I change it to gratitude. What can I be grateful for? And we think it's something difficult and we think it's hard. How can I change? But it's really hard not to change. It's really hard to just stay in worry. So I'll give that back to you, Kim.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. And there's a couple of things that come to mind for me right away, especially with the worry. So the first thing, I guess, kind of two quotes. One, we had, I used to, for a year, I did a program called the High Vibe Tribe program, and I had guest speakers come in, and I can't even remember who it was, but there was a guest speaker that came in onto one of our Zoom calls, talking about, shifting thinking and that sort of thing. And what she said is, worrying is like attracting the shit you don't want. And that always stuck in my head. I thought, yeah, that's so true, right? Like you said, our thoughts and feelings are so powerful. And simple law of attraction, whatever you think, you're bringing into your experience, right? So why would you want to bring anything that you don't want in? But we do that when we worry, right? The other quote that comes up is one that I just posted, I think a few days ago on my Facebook page. And the quote says, if it's out of your hands, it should be out of your head too. And that just made so much sense, right? I mean, let go of what you can't control of, because all we're doing is wasting our own energy, right? And very much like you, there are times when I can find worry comes into my mind, into my feelings. And like you said, you just become aware of it. And then you make that shift, right? And for me, what I practice and what I always tell people, the easiest way to shift is, yes, come back to present moment. What am I grateful for right now? And everybody could easily list 10 or 20 things like that, easily, right? And when you do that, you let go of the worry. Coming back to what you were saying too about our thoughts and our feelings are so powerful. I'll maybe use the Abraham Hicks reference about being in the vortex, right? And, here we all are, and we have this vortex around us. And part of manifesting is having the things that you desire in your vortex, and not bringing in the things that you don't want. But every time we give any bit of energy through thought or emotion to something, we keep it in our vortex. But if we let go, it goes farther and farther and farther and away, and it becomes less and less and less of our own personal experience. And I can say that has definitely been my experience. The less I worry about things, the less I experience those things or they show up, right? And probably everybody can relate to that with finances, right? If you're constantly worrying about not having enough money, things are breaking down, extra bills are coming in, that's the experience you're creating. Let go of that, okay? So yeah, I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. The only thing that you control is within you. You have zero control over anything outside of you. No other person, no other place, thing, event. Sometimes the things we do or say can influence an outcome or a situation, but we will never, ever, ever control it. So why worry about it, right? You're only creating your own internal stress, right? All our suffering is self-created. And then the gratitude. I'm thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. I think it's easy for everybody to be able to shift into gratitude in a lot of cases. For some people, it's difficult in every case. And I was there for a while. I would say the last 4 years, I moved into a place of being able to find gratitude for everything, even the shittiest, most painful situations. And that's hard. And that's why I say not everybody can easily shift into gratitude for everything, because, we carry a lot of pain. We haven't necessarily been taught in our society how to deal and how to properly manage emotions. We've actually been taught the opposite: avoid and distract. But this kind of comes back to what we've often talked about, I think, on this show and also on our podcast for sure, is that everything happens for us and not to us, right? I've used the example of my son's death in this case. I shared a story about moving across Canada with my ex-husband and losing our jobs, where, I am grateful for all of these things that happened in my life. It doesn't mean that they were great, but it means they brought some sort of deeper understanding or healing or freedom from something to move into something new, something better. And so when we can really do that, that is powerful. That is powerful, to find gratitude in everything, even the shittiest, because that's where the growth comes from. Yeah.
There's so much fun in being open and available to everything, even the cards, like pulling the cards. How fantastic, if you just notice how fantastic it is to pull worry with gratitude. Those two cards coming up together is such an easy message. Like for Kim and I, it's not hard to do this work because everything is so guided and everything is so simple. It's not a complicated message that we were offering today. It is a message that perhaps when you see those two cards coming up together, you can go, oh gosh, why do I continue to hold on to worry? When simply Spirit is just saying, hey, there's two sides to the coin here and you get to choose. So I think that everything is powerful. Everything is exciting. Everything is fun. And everything is for us, including those two cards that we pulled today, having gratitude and worry coming up together. That is really fun for me to see that.
You're absolutely correct. And like I said, they just jumped out. It wasn't like I even had the chance to pick them. So there might be a lot of people worrying these days. And so you might need to hear that. So, and I think, like you said, Sheila, it is such a simple message. And I think we tend to complicate everything or even try too hard, when if we can just, be present and be open. And there's another word, I can't even think of it, but maybe it's curious, but just, expanding perception or being open to different perceptions. I think we can get so fixed on there's only one way to see something, when there could be various ways to see something, right? And that's what really helps to open us up. Yeah. I'm going to attempt to pull one this time, so I'm shuffling again. And I like to just cut the deck and take the card that's on the top of the bottom half. Health. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. I'm really excited that this one came up today because this is a big one for me. When I think of, health, first of all, I have for a long time thought of my physical body as my home for my soul. And I want to live a long time. Like I keep telling my husband, I'm going to live to at least 113, maybe more. That's my plan. And I know if I'm going to do that, I need to still have this home to live in, right? And part of taking care of, the physical vessel is also focusing on that mental health, emotional health, right? Energetic and spiritual health. It's that all-encompassing thing. Before I got into this field, I guess, I used to work in municipal government, and I was that person living in fear, lots of worry, high-paced job, avoid, distract. And exercise was kind of my outlet, my addiction, I guess, to deal with or avoid dealing with things. So I often taught, boot camps and spins and all these high energy things. And I was a personal trainer for a while. And then when I started to move into this field, we'll call it, what I started to realize is that, you can eat all the right food, you can exercise exactly how you need to be, but if you're not dealing with your emotions, it's not doing a damn thing. And what I noticed as a personal trainer is clients would come, and without them even realizing it, I think they would talk about their problems, but not in a way that was addressing the emotional conflict. I don't want to just say they were complaining, but it was clear there was some unresolved stuff there. At the time, I was able to recognize that, but I didn't have the knowledge and the tools to actually help people through it. But I knew that if they didn't do anything with their emotional health, all the working out, all the dieting or whatever eating plan is not doing a damn thing, because I would see the same people doing, the same thing for all these years and not change, not lose a pound, not gain more muscle, not have any physical change. And I started to think, why? And then I realized, okay, there isn't this wholeness approach to health. And that's when I actually stopped personal training, because I thought it's just a waste of time. And I don't mean that I don't mean to sound like an asshole saying that, but it was the truth. And that's what really, I think, drew me more into this field and exploring more of emotional health and mental health and spiritual health, and then being able to bring it all together. I can even think myself back, 12, 15 years ago, wanting to just lose that last 10 pounds. And I couldn't. And I ate good. I was very active teaching, boot camps and working out and running. Couldn't lose that 10 pounds. And as soon as I just started to address whole body health, everything changed. I lost that 10 pounds and more, and I was working out half the time that I was before. It's amazing how whole body health can be so much more effective or productive than, just physically taking care of your body. I don't know if you can relate to that, Sheila.
Well, being a yoga teacher, I think it's really, it's always interesting to me. If I teach something like a hip opening class or something that's pretty intense, the feedback that I get, and I've been teaching for a long time, and I've been in the yoga world for probably 35 years. So this is not just a one-time, not a one-off. This is a constant thing that I'm hearing. Students will say, you taught that hip opening, and I felt so angry after. I was so mad. Why didn't you tell me that class was going to make me angry or frustrated? So it's something I usually reference to people just so they know that your body holds emotions. Your body is carrying all those thoughts and all those ideas that you've had in your life, and it's just sitting there. The movement, the breath, the meditation is a line of opportunity to release those emotions. So everything, like you said, everything matters. So doing the hip opening and not recognizing where does this anger come from and being more angry that you have the anger, rather than just saying, okay, the anger is arising and it's coming to the top. And now I just need to breathe into it and let it go. And my body is holding on to those emotions. Yes, you're not taught that in school. No, you're not taught that by scientists, but you are taught that by who you are as a human and what your body is telling you. So all of us have the opportunity to recognize the health of ourself matters. And that is, what is in my body? What am I bringing in? What emotions am I holding on to? And how is that serving me? Because as we've talked about in different sessions that Kim and I have been with you, is that those emotions, if they're still in your body, those are the things that trigger you. Those are the things that make you super uncomfortable in certain situations. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I don't want to be triggered. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to be healthy and joyful. And if someone says something that's not really nice towards me or not really kind, and I'm triggered, then I'm not feeling good. But if someone says something unkind to me and I recognize, okay, that's where that person is coming from. That's nothing to do with me. I move on with not even like a hop, skip, and a jump. I'm not in it. I'm not triggered by it. And then I'm not going home and thinking about it and having it go over and over in my mind. We live in a world that has for many years has honored fast-paced, working hard, not taking time away for yourself. We have honored that and said, that is good. Look at you. You're succeeding. You're gaining ground. You're getting lots of money. And look at how good you're doing. I think we've come to a time when we no longer can honor that. When we can no longer say that is going to work for you, because does it work for you? Of course not. We can't pretend that we don't know what we know. Continuing to pretend that that's the model that we need to live by is just pretending. It's just pretending. So if you want to live a good, healthy life and you want to have health and joy and friendships and kindness and all that in your life, then how do you start to do that? You start to live that. You start to live in your health, in the health of your body, the health of your mind, the health of your spirit. Why are Kim and I often looked at as weirdos or, oh yeah, that's just the stuff you do? Is because you want to pretend that your spiritual health doesn't matter. And keep doing that and see how it works for you. Kim and I aren't here to make you be pretend or to change your mind or to tell you that your health matters or your spiritual health matters. That's up to you to do. That's up to each and every one of us to decide what matters. And if we want to keep living the old model that is in suffering, then we'll continue to suffer. If we want to live, like, look at Kim, look at how happy she is, look how joyful she is. I feel that I sort of exemplify that as well. I don't live in a lot of suffering or pain. Of course, I do have my challenges, but for the most of the time, these situations will come up for me and I'll move through them very, very quickly with an awareness and understanding that I don't want to carry that energy in my body and I don't want to suffer. So we now are at a time where we have choices. We are not ignorant to any of this stuff. This stuff is everywhere for us in the world. Just look on Instagram or Facebook, someone's posting something about it. But whether you want to choose your health or not is up to you. It's not up to Kim and I, and even for myself to choose my own health. I need to choose that myself. This is a powerful understanding that because someone told you it should be done this way, doesn't mean it has to be done that way.
Yeah, that's so true. And that, really speaks to us needing to take responsibility for our health and stop blaming anyone and anything else for our poor health or relying on others' healthcare to fix it for us. And I'll speak to that in a minute, but I just want to come back. Everything comes downloading and then we forget it all, right? This is what happens. What I wanted to say is this is how I explain it to people when I'm working with one-on-one or group with trauma and grief recovery. So because we are a society that has taught avoid and distract, right? We're told just suck it up. It'll be okay. Just give it time. Keep yourself busy. All of these things to not connect with and deal with our emotions. And This is life. Life is one event after another, after another, after another. And each of those events has some sort of emotion, either pleasant or unpleasant. That's the simplicity and the truth of it. However, when we don't connect with whatever's happening and we just suppress it, we start to build what I call this emotional volcano within our body, right? And emotions are energy. Everything is energy. Energy needs to move. So when we suppress, we end up with this volcano of emotions that for the most part can sit dormant because we get this false sense of being healthy and happy and in control. And this doesn't have to be these big traumatic things. There is so much negative emotional energy that can be stored in our cells from the littlest things. It can start from being in the womb. If you are in your mother's womb and your parents have a very unhealthy relationship where there's a lot of fighting, where your mom has a lot of anxiety, that energy is going into the infant, right? So you're born already anxious with this energy that you don't understand and don't know what to do with. And then of course there are the more obvious things like sexual abuse, physical abuse, but it can also be those other needs not being met, not feeling safe, not feeling heard, not feeling like you belong. And so much of that is experienced in childhood and not intentionally. It's just the way life is. But when we're not taught what's happening or how to deal with it, again, suppress, and you have all of this energy in this volcano, as I like to put it. And then what happens is, we go about life and something comes along. It could be as simple as someone cutting us off in traffic, or, our partner or a friend, we get into an argument. And then the emotion from that event shows up, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, guilt. And then all those other emotions also come up. The volcano erupts and it's like, yeah, and we're here too. Right? And then you get this feeling of overwhelming stress, anxiety as it's called. And sadly, what happens is with our healthcare system, and I don't want to knock healthcare because it is important and helpful, but what happens a lot is we get this diagnosis that you have anxiety or you have depression, and here's this medication. Do some yoga, do this. Okay, that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying don't do that. But that's not going to cure it. It's a Band-Aid, right? I mean, even yoga, if you're not taught the understanding of what's happening and how to release it, it's still not as effective as it can be. And much like you, I've had a lot of people, pigeon pose is the perfect one, right? Into that hip opener, and people start to cry. And I've actually had people come up and, can you make me cry again today? It feels so good. And I'm like, don't say that so loud. People are going to think what am I doing here? Right. But it's true. And they realize it's such a release, right? And that's what's happening when that volcano erupts. Our body is saying, I don't want to hold this shit anymore. Get rid of it. Right. And when we can understand how to manage and heal our emotional health and our mental health, it heals us physically. And not only then do we, heal from disease and illness, because all of our disease and illness stems from emotional trauma, basically. And so we can heal ourselves. Now, again, I don't want to say don't go to your doctor, don't take medication. Sometimes those things are needed and helpful so that we can do that other work to release it. But if it's not released, it's just a Band-Aid. It does not go away. But I can tell you firsthand, when you dump that volcano, the next time something comes along that gives you that poke, that creates that negative emotion, there's nothing else that comes up with it because that volcano is empty. And so it's way less intense. And you can actually move through that in the moment unpleasantness with much more ease and grace and comfort. And I'll share a bit of an example, and I don't want to get too much into this story because we are actually going to be talking about this on our podcast this week, but I'm going to share because it's a perfect example of how when we empty our emotional volcano, it's so much easier to deal with anything. So as I think most know, my son Tristan died of overdose in 2019. And last Thursday night, we had this accident in our cul-de-sac just out front of our house, where there was a man who had basically crashed in reverse. He had overdosed while driving. And when our neighbor came to get us to come out, this man is not from the area. Nobody knows who he is, but the car was running. The doors were locked and he's unconscious. Still sort of breathing. And I just had this kind of, well, it's my intuition, right? I knew there was either alcohol or drugs or some sort of medical thing, but it really felt more like it was just something. And I don't mean to say that in a way of judging. It was just this sense. And we really wanted to help this man. Neighbors called 911 and we couldn't get into the vehicle because it was locked. And we ended up, long story short, continued to watch his breathing. It started to look like he was stopping breathing. This is why I was suspecting overdose. And we finally made the decision to smash the window so that we could, first of all, get the car in park and turned off and, do whatever we needed to do for him if he stopped breathing. And so when we broke the window, he did sort of become more conscious. He took a big breath and I just started to talk to him. And right away, he went into, probably everybody has heard of fight, flight, or freeze, and he froze. And I wanted to just try to keep him calm and breathing, obviously breathing so that he could stay alive, but calm because, anything could have happened. He could have just panicked and bolted or put the car in drive or taken a swing at somebody, but he froze. And right then I knew this was a trauma response and something that has been stored in his body for a long time. I would almost guarantee this. Now, fortunately, EMS showed up. They were able to help him. As far as I know, he's okay. Nobody else was hurt, thank goodness. But it was interesting because, and my husband was there with me and some of the other neighbors, and he was really worried that that was going to be so triggering for me, dealing with somebody who is kind of in an overdose situation right in front of our house, and we are like the first responders. And I was not triggered at all. Not at all. And I thought, well, maybe it'll show up later. 4 days later, it's not. I would say aside from the EMS that were attending, I was probably the calmest one there helping. And I didn't have any sadness come up. I guess I would say some worry came up that I was worried that he wasn't going to survive, this man, but as far as I know, he did. So then I was grateful. I was so grateful that we could do something to help this man. And again, I don't want to get too much into the story because we're going to talk a lot about this on our podcast show with a few others, but it just shows that when you dump that emotional volcano, it is so much easier to deal with whatever the next traumatic thing life is going to bring you. And life is going to bring you more shit, I promise you. But it's amazing how much more calmly you can move through it. You can have a whole new perception of it and find that gratitude for it. And that's what we're going to be talking about a lot on the podcast is, the synchronicities and how that really happened for me and not to me. But it was powerful. And it really, I think for me, helped me to realize how much I have healed and how much I am in such a place of balance and good health and living my best life.
Yeah, that story is really powerful. And I feel like we had done that solstice event on the 21st and done a lot of healing work prior to that incident. And that incident showing up, I think the next day, I think was very significant. So anytime you delve into the idea that you want to heal and you want to change your life, It doesn't mean that things aren't going to be presented in front of you, because they will be in a big way. Often those situations don't come out of nowhere. They come from a special gift to Kim to offer her a situation, to know that she's healed, to offer compassion to another human being. There's so much involved in it. So when you do decide that all of you matters, all of your health matters, you can really find yourself in some magical situations. That situation, I would say, came from magic, where you were able to observe your own feelings. You were able to be the energy and the feelings for someone that was suffering. Obviously, you were able to be there for them. There is no coincidence in spirituality. Spirituality flows so significantly and so magically.
Absolutely. And I think, our bodies are full of wisdom. I mean, our body is the greatest doctor in my mind. If you think about it, your body tells you when you're hungry, when you're tired. The body will even tell you when you need certain vitamins or minerals, foods, whatever it is, if you just tune into it. And I've been doing that for quite some time, and I'm really trying to do that a lot more and trust it. And when I do, that's when healing happens, because sometimes, we can get out of alignment with that balance of mental, emotional health. Maybe it's because we're not getting good sleep, for a few days in a week, or we've kind of been eating like crap for a few days, or maybe something emotional did happen and we just kind of haven't dealt with it. So if we can listen to our body, right, the body will tell you. And that's often where a lot of our aches and pains and inflammation and these physical sensations in the body, it's our body's way of saying, hey, you need to pay attention to this and understand what's happening here, right? Your body can't just tell you, you need to do this or you need to do that. But if you tune in with the, connect to your physical body, you'll be surprised at the direction and the information that you're going to get. And it was hard for me. I resisted this for a long time. And I think it was because, I was such an active person. That was my short-term energy relieving behavior was to exercise like every day, sometimes twice a day. And it was really hard for me to say, okay, body, I recognize that you need some rest today, and I'm not going to go to the gym. And I do that more and more and more and more now. When my body is telling me to slow down, I will slow down. And if my body is feeling good, then maybe I pick up my pace a little. Our body will tell us when we need to fast. Our body will tell us when we need more energy, when we need more time in nature. We just need to take that responsibility, right? We are the creators of our own suffering. We are the creators of our own poor health. So we are also the only ones responsible for healing our health. Now, again, I don't want to say don't go to your doctor, don't take medications, but I don't think that is the end all only thing that you can do. And I don't believe that anything needs to be like a lifelong medication per se. That's my belief. I think if you can do some of the healing, you don't need that anymore. And I've seen that with lots of clients too.
Yeah, that's huge with clients. I'm reminded of a story a friend told me. She had a situation with another person where the other person treated her horribly, really unfairly. It was a difficult situation. Probably 5-10 years later, she runs into the person and she doesn't recognize the person. The person is crippled up and can hardly walk and has aged considerably and is suffering. To treat others with harm, to do harm to anyone or to anything, even to yourself, your body experiences it. This person thought that it was okay for them to be harmful to another. There was no consequences. There's huge consequences. We think that, oh, how does bad always win? It seems like we're in a world where bad is always over good. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. We have evidence of it all over the place. So, just her simple story of running into this person and seeing the dramatic change in the physical form of this person, you can't run from this stuff. We think we can. We think, oh, I can just push it down. I can treat others poorly. I can just take drugs to help me in this situation. Eventually that will catch up to you. In the moment, it might be the answer. It might be, oh yeah, if I just push off my anger and frustration onto another person, okay, then I'll be okay in the moment. But there's long-term consequences to everything that we do. And I think that's what our messages always are, is kindness, compassion for self, starting for self, and that will trickle out to humanity and to others. And it allows us to live in a place of joy, in a place of love and compassion, where we don't bring the suffering in. Maybe in the moment it's not easy to be kind to that person that's difficult towards you. Maybe it's easier to be unkind to them the way they are to you. But I'll tell you, the consequences are huge.
Absolutely. It's funny. I'm just thinking back to my morning, my typical morning. I get up, I have my matcha in bed, and I kind of scroll on my phone a bit. And, we talk about always being divinely guided and everything's so connected. I was flipping through TikTok this morning, and there was a lady talking about, I'll kind of summarize her story. She said, if you take a piece of cheesecake and you stick it in your purse and you leave it there for a week, for a month, for a year, what happens to that cheesecake? She said, and if you take it out and you eat it, right, that cheesecake has grown bacteria and it's in all this infected stuff. And she says, basically, that's suppressing your emotions, right? And it's creating the poison in your body. You're making yourself sick. And it's so true. Like we're just talking about, right? Like not acknowledging your emotional health. It's that quote, drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, right? Holding on to anger, resentment, all those negative energies. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And it's so true. But we do it all the time. We have to take responsibility to heal ourselves. And when you do, life is beautiful. Life is fun. It's magical. We're seeing this all the time, Sheila and I. It's just when we think, okay, we've got it all together. We figured it out. And this is, this is so great. And then something bigger and better happens and it gets even more greater. Still we have these things that happen, but because we are more balanced in our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, it's just it's a more pleasant journey through life. And that's what we're doing. We're journeying through life, being in the flow. I feel like we could speak to this one so much. Do a whole month episode on this. Is there anything else you want to share on that one, Sheila?
No, I think that one is pretty much we took that one as far as I can take it today, for sure.
Yeah, it's really up to you that are listening now to decide, to take responsibility for your own health. Okay. So as we're kind of nearing the end of our show today, what we would like to do is always like to leave kind of a message of guidance, something to focus on, something that you might need to be aware of today. And I have this fun little deck. It's called Moon Witch. And I got this cute little deck in Thailand. It just fits in the palm of my hand. But it's got some really great messaging on it. And I feel like whenever I pull cards for people, whatever deck I'm using often is the identifying the focus. And then this is like the action to get there. So actually, and this is just coming in as a kind of a download right now, I'm actually going to do 2 cards. So I'm going to use the Sacred Traveler deck as well. I'm going to pull 1 card from here for the what you need to be aware of. And this is going to be the how to take action or the solution. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, for those of you that are watching, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay, I trust Spirit is going to give you the message you need. So I'm going to ask you to pick right now in your mind, choose number 1, 2, or 3. And Sheila and I are going to share a message about the cards that come up. So 1, 2, or 3, pick your number. Okay, those of you that picked number 1, here's what you need to be aware of. Impasse, reflect and redirect your energy. Ooh, I love this one. What comes up right away for me, Sheila, we were talking earlier about how, people have different perceptions and reactions to things that are happening, even say, current events, right? Whether it's political stuff, government, not the Titanic, but the sub that went down to see the Titanic that has gone missing, or whatever it is in the news. And this feels like, for those of you that are drawn to number 1, you need to step back and maybe redirect. Okay. The energy or the vibration you're in is not of the greatest for you. Maybe you're feeling a little bit negative. So it feels like there's a need for you to kind of stop and rethink. Anything come up for you, Sheila, with this one?
Yeah, the biggest thing that comes up for me is, when you receive a message and you got a message and you're like, oh, that sounds like that should be for my mother. That should be for my cousin. That's not for me, that message. Instead of projecting it onto someone else, saying that message is not for me, perhaps that message is for you, rather than they need to change. I wish they would hear that message and redirect. Yeah, I think it's more like refocus. This is for you to redirect, rather than projecting it onto someone else.
Exactly. Okay, and then we're going to pull the second card here, which is, for me, I always think of this as the how to actually put this into action sort of thing. So again, I'm going to cut the deck. And it's Isis, cast spells, protect, and heal. So there's a lot with this one. First of all, casting spells. Don't take casting spells as putting negative energy out there. This is about protecting, and maybe you have taken on other people's beliefs, perhaps your parents or other family members, just conditioned beliefs based on your upbringing or your community or environment. Have your own beliefs, okay? Protect yourself. Just because what's happening around you or the views of others around you may be strong in a certain way, it doesn't mean that you have to buy into those either. If it resonates with you and you really feel that in your heart, then okay. But I think what we're saying here is step back and check if your values, your beliefs, and your actions are really in line with your heart and your soul. And again, that heal part, right? Maybe what's coming forward, your projections or your perceptions, are coming from old wounds. Sheila, anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's really important now. And we're moving into a world with a lot of AI. We talk about this artificial intelligence, and people worried that that's going to take over, and we're going to not be able to discern if that's actually someone actually projecting that, or if that's someone using their voice or whatever to bring that message forward. We need to use our intuition about what we believe and what we know, rather than just automatically trusting what we're seeing everywhere, like on TV or YouTube or whatever we're listening to. Use your intuition, what feels right for you in your heart.
Absolutely. Okay, those of you that were drawn to number 2, let's see what's coming up for you today. Staying focused, hold the course. For those of you who are drawn to number 2, maybe you're feeling a bit impatient. Maybe you've been working towards something. You're frustrated that it's not showing up as quick as you want. You have to trust that it's coming, right? If we give up that hope, it's never going to come. You have to stay focused. There might be tests happening for you to see if you're going to come out of alignment. Stay focused. Sheila, anything to add to that?
Well, number 2 was the number I picked. So that's a message for me, obviously. And that is really truthful for me, because when I get the most challenged in my life is when I don't trust what's coming next. That's when I lose my heart center. When I go out of balance is not staying focused. So being able to really trust and have faith in what's coming next has never been my forte. But it's definitely something that I think I'm getting better at. And I think it's really important to remember, going back to what's at your heart center, what you believe, and continuing on with that. Even if everything around you is saying differently, trust what you know and stay focused on what you understand.
I love that, because we're so easily influenced by family, news, social media, current events, right? Like, yeah, just we have to stay true to ourselves. Love that. Okay, let's see. I didn't even pick a number. I didn't even think to do that for myself. So waxing gibbous, if it's okay, it is okay to change direction. So I feel like with this is a reminder that for many of us on our journey, we do grow and we do evolve, and, our path does change, right? We get directed different ways, and that's a good thing. I mean, that shows we're growing, but sometimes that can also bring grief, right? Grief is a loss of something or someone or something. So even when we're, growing, when we're going into new opportunities, there's excitement, but there can also be some grief with that. It's change, right? Change is difficult for a lot of people. Also, change can often bring the unknown. And sometimes that is the greatest fear of humans, is the unknown. So it is okay to change the direction. It means growth. It means new opportunity. Sheila, what comes up for you as you drew this number?
Well, I mean, just working with you, Kim, is like the way we heal and the way we offer our modalities is changing all the time. Like even on Thursday night, we did something Wednesday night on the solstice, we did something we've never done before. And the absolute power and the wild night that we had, the wild ride that everyone that was there that had, was amazing because we were willing to do something different. Kim said to me, how about we do it like this time? And I'm like, okay, let's try that. Let's see what happens. We had to put ourselves up in front of 12 people, never have done this before, really, and trusted it was going to work. And wow, did it ever work? And from that, we got even more insight how to do it again the next time, even differently, like changing, let ourselves change. If I was just to say my healing is like this and it's going to be like this forever, I would be missing out on this opportunity to heal in such a powerful way.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm having that throat thing again. This is a message that's been coming through for me for a while now about my throat chakra. Anyway, we'll share about that maybe on the other episode of our spiritual engagement podcast with our other story. All right, last one. If you were drawn to number 3, mystic healer, healing energy flows through you. So those of you who are drawn to number 3, this might be your soul saying it's time to acknowledge and tap into your gifts. You have abilities. We all have them. Sometimes we're just not ready, but if you're drawn to number 3, you are ready. If you're drawn to number 3 and you're already connected with your healing gifts, maybe it's time to kick it up a notch, right? Or also what's coming through is the reminder of to also give that back to yourselves, especially as we get into this work, we can, be that healing conduit for others and forget to also be the conduit for ourselves. That just kind of came through for me. What comes up for you, Sheila, with this one?
I find a lot of the clients that come to see me, they have these gifts that they're not sure about what they should do with them, how to present their healing forward. And I would say, like, from our experience, just do what you're called to do in the moment. It doesn't have to be that you have clients come to see you. It doesn't have to be that you have set up a business of healing. But if you're in a moment where you have an opportunity to just energetically be the healing light, then you do that in the moment. So it doesn't have to be really convoluted or difficult. It just means that you just be more authentic to who you are. Every single human probably has the capacity to offer healing and love to another human being. So because you have been trained that that's not cool, does that mean that you're not going to do it anymore? Of course not. It is probably the most powerful thing that you can offer another, is the opportunity to sit in the space of healing.
We actually saw that in our event last Wednesday on the solstice with, the group healing. I mean, we had a group of people there who some of them are in with healing modalities, working with healing modalities, but some are not and not really familiar with it. And for me, for a while now, and I think what happened that night is it was just all about energy and intention. That's the magic right there. You don't have to have all this knowledge. You don't have to have all this training. Energy and intention. If my intention is to send the most compassionate, loving, healing energy from my heart to Sheila's, that's all I need to do. Get intentional and visualize that. And she's going to feel that. Right? Energy and intention. So simple, so powerful. All right, let's draw our final card from here to go with that message. I love this little deck. Okay, I love this one. And it kind of comes full circle to what we were talking about today. Witchy medicine, connect to earth. So I don't know, Sheila, if you can relate to this or anybody watching. It feels like what's happening right now, and for myself even, is this draw back to the basics, back to gardening, to plant medicines, not in the sense of like psychedelic plant medicines, but just, growing our own food, making our own like dandelion balm for pain and inflammation, this sort of thing, coming back to nature. Nature has so many healing medicines for us. A lot of people since COVID have gotten into plants and gardening, and we're seeing lots of people starting to make these natural medicines. And it kind of comes back to the card we drew earlier about health and taking responsibility for our health. So I really love that this came up. I'm going to let you share a little bit more.
I find myself more than ever craving nature. And I went through a lot of my life not even thinking about nature, not even, obviously spending time outside all my life, but never really giving it much thought until just recently. I don't know what's happening, but I am like, it is the most important thing that I give myself on a daily basis is nature. So, the medicine of nature, I think, is being really, really uprooted in a lot of us. We're really being drawn to it. I imagine if you talk to a lot of people, they'd probably say the same thing. It's just becoming sort of in our collective consciousness, the power of nature. And we're not ignoring it anymore. We're paying attention to it, which is really cool.
Absolutely. As I'm just thinking about it, I think, over time, I think I say we in the sense of just people, community, cultures have had a close connection with nature, like a relationship with nature. And there are some cultures that I think still do have a very close connection with nature, but I think a lot of us have lost that connection, that relationship with nature, and we're being called back to rebuild that relationship with nature, to be in the flow of giving and receiving, right? And it's sort of naturally happening. We're all being guided to do this, and I love it. So connecting with the earth, just the energy of the earth, and then how can we, make the earth sustainable so that the earth can continue to give back to us and take care of our health, right? It's a beautiful partnership when you think about it. So there you go. There's your information for the day. Take it or leave it. But as Sheila said, whatever you are drawn to, that message is for you. You may think it's for someone else, but especially if you're in resistance to that, I would say it is definitely something that you should look at and spend some time exploring. As we've learned from one of our past guests, just get curious and be neutral. You don't always have to have an opinion or a strong belief about something, right? It makes me think of a guest we had last week on our podcast, John, who talked about, religion and spirituality needs to be fluid. And I've never heard that before, but it made so much sense, right? If we're too attached to a belief or a way, how can we be in the flow? How can we ever grow? So we'll leave it there. Sheila, any final words for anybody watching or listening today?
Over the years, I've had all kinds of beliefs and understanding of spirituality. I believed it was this way or that way. And I'm really grateful that I can be fluid and say, okay, I used to believe that. That's not the way it appears to me anymore. Being I think, like you said, being fluid is a way to really appreciate life and appreciate that, yes, maybe 6 months ago, I thought it was like this, but today I think it's like that. And having the wisdom to know that that's okay.
Absolutely. I'm sure a year or two from now, we may look back at some of our episodes and say, I don't really agree with what I said back then. And that's okay, right? That's okay. And so for everybody who is watching, yeah, you need to make your own choices. And your choices need to be in line with your heart, your soul, with love, with truth. And that's all that matters, right? And if others don't agree, that's okay. We're not always all going to agree. But when you live in your truth, when you are connected to heart, to love, present moment, that's the best place to live life. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Feel free to hop over to our Facebook page and share any comments, questions. If you have a specific topic you would like us to talk about, drop it in there on the Facebook page or send us a message. Let us know what you want to talk about. Or if you want to be a guest, you can be a guest on our show as well. But until next time, we want to wish everybody a fabulous day. We are going to be taking a little break over summer. We're going to have one more episode coming up, and then we're going to be starting up again with some brand new content. We'll still be active on our Facebook page, so keep checking there for more updates. And who knows, maybe there'll be a few little surprises over the summer. We never know what Spirit's going to guide us to do. But I think what I can say, and I can speak for us all, I think when I say we will always follow through with whatever Spirit guides us to do. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks, Sheila.
Namaste.
Have a fabulous trip. We'll see you when you get back.